Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic, a discussion between a professional film critic and lecturer and me, his wife of 20 years, who just likes to watch movies for fun. I'm your co-host, Julia.
This is Bear the Film Critic. Hello, everyone.
And tonight we decided to watch a Christmas movie. And boy, it was a downer.
One Magic Christmas. The title lies.
Okay, so this movie came out in 1985, and you were like, have you ever seen this? And I didn't recognize the cover of the movie. And so I said, I don't think so. But no, I grew up watching this movie on the Disney Channel.
As did I. But it's weird that you only remembered a snow globe being a key plot point.
Yeah. I only remembered bits and pieces. I don't think I watched it past like age 12.
Do you think you suppress the memories, like how when John Rambo goes into that town, those memories of being tortured by the Viet Cong, they like come at him? Do you think like that's...
I have PTSD from this movie.
Yeah. Do you think it's like that?
I could have PTSD from this movie because this movie is bonkers.
Because I have not suppressed any of my memories of this film. Like yourself, I didn't see it in the theater, but I definitely watched it all the time when it was on the Disney Channel in the 80s because there's just something so morbidly fascinating about this movie. We'll get into it. There are scenes in this movie that I had never seen in a horror film, let alone in a Disney movie. And I would watch this film from beginning to end whenever it was on the Disney Channel. Like, I gotta see this thing because this is not Santa Claus the movie.
I think as an adult, this movie is way more horrifying because when you're watching it, you're like, wait, what?
Well, for me now, it's more of a comedy. I think it's kind of hysterical now, just how wrong-headed this film is. But as a kid, it was really disturbing. For all sorts of reasons. So, let's get into it. This is Mary Steenburgen and Harry Dean Stanton in Disney's One Magic Christmas.
This holiday season, Walt Disney Pictures gives you the gift of One Magic Christmas.
Santa Claus? How come you don't look like the Santa Claus in the mall?
Because the Santa Claus in the mall isn't me.
Santa Claus, how can one sleigh carry all the toys for all the kids every place?
Ooh, it's a magic sleigh, Abby. Very magic. Do you believe in magic?
One Magic Christmas. It will make you believe.
So our movie opens with
a full moon, and the ooh.
Yeah, like are we watching a Halloween movie?
Is this Michael Jackson's Thriller? That's what it looks like. And then we see Harry Dean Stanton dressed like a cowboy in a tree playing a harmonica.
So he plays a Christmas angel. Apparently there are different angel jobs in this world, and Christmas angel is one of them. And all of a sudden, it's like the creepy moon is talking to him, but it must be the voice of Santa.
Yeah, he's hearing a voice, and he's describing Mary Steenburgen's character. So, I mean, let's review. Okay, so our movie is a couple minutes long, and we've had Harry Dean Stanton in a black overcoat and this huge black hat in a tree, playing the harmonica, talking to a voice, describing this mother who's in this town.
Okay, so the Christmas angels, their job every year is to give someone, like help someone find the Christmas spirit. So this voice is like, you will find this woman at the shopping mall. Go find her.
I mean, the angels in the Nicolas Cage City of Angels were more warm and fuzzy than this.
Yeah.
You know, and they had a very similar look, although they didn't have the hat. And let's face, I mean, Harry Dean Stanton, wonderful, wonderful character actor, a total treasure. You don't cast him as a Christmas angel
totally
under
wrong.
any circumstances. The only other choice that could have been worse would have been Christopher Walken.
Yes.
But very similar, right?
Yeah.
Like if Harry Dean Stanton's Christmas angel was hanging out with anybody, it'd be like Christopher Walken and Boris Karloff.
Yeah. Well, he has some scenes with some kids, and it's just like, no, this is so wrong.
But we'll get to
Stranger
that.
danger.
Oh boy, yeah.
All right, so we head to the mall, And Jeannie is married to Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And they're walking around the mall with their two kids, Cal and Abby.
Ginny, of course, is the wonderful Mary Steenburgen.
So she's the Grinch. She's just like not having it with this Christmas stuff because the kids are like, when's Santa coming? Does Santa really come? And asking about presents. And is he going to come even though we're poor?
In her defense, the kids are a little insufferable. She's married to a very nice man who is determined to make his dream of owning a bike shop a reality. And she does checkout at this very busy supermarket.
Yeah.
So, things kind of suck.
Yeah, but she keeps talking to the kids like, we just have no money. And so basically your Christmas is going to be terrible. And the kids are just like, gee whiz, why, Mom?
Yeah, I've got, I wrote down a note. I think this happens early in the movie. I'm not even sure, but apparently at one point she says, "You're going to get a smack in a minute." I'm like, oh man, this is a little too real.
Yeah. Is this reminding you of your childhood?
No, I don't think my mom ever said that. You met my mother. She's very, very sweet. My dad, on the other hand, maybe. But no, my mom's a sweetheart, but no. I mean, I think there's a few ways to talk about this story without jumping too far ahead. I mean, it's kind of like a contemporary. I'm sure they thought like this is going to be a contemporary It's a Wonderful Life. We really got something here, but it's kind of like a Christmas Carol told strictly from the point of view of the Cratchit family. Mm-hmm. But the Cratchits were like really upbeat compared to these guys. Yeah. I mean, Bob Cratchit, Tiny Tim, like he has one leg. The kid is like happy. He's a sweet, he's a joyful little kid. And I guess that's how, these kids are kind of like that. But Bob Cratchit and his wife, they're just grateful for everything. Well, Ginny and her husband, they are.
No, Jack is grateful. He's got
hopes and dreams.
He's positive. Yeah.
Jeannie, she's miserable.
Well, okay. They have to move. Okay. So this is what happened. Cause I was like, why do they have to move? Apparently this house is like a company perk. And since Jack lost his job, they have to leave. And so they have 10 days and Christmas is in like 3 days or something that they have to move out of this house. And Jack just wants to fix bikes for the neighbor kids who don't have any money. There's this scene where this little girl's like, I really want a bike for Christmas, but we're poor. Everybody's just talking about how, never mind that they are living in a neighborhood like in suburbia where like everyone has a house. It's not like, the inner city with like an apartment complex.
Yes. It's not Slumdog Millionaire.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Right. They're just working class poor, but they have money, which we find out because Jeannie has $5,000 in savings. Okay. And that's how much apparently Jack needs to invest in his bike shop. You guys, $5,000 back then was like $14,000. So here is Jeannie whining that they have no money. And Jack he's like, well, can't we just take like $200 out and like buy presents for the kids? And she's like, Jack, we can't do that. What if you get sick? What if one of us can't work? I'm like, you have like $5,000 in the bank account.
Well, remember, this is a Disney film, so maybe they're thinking, we're not going to be able to go to Epcot this year. Okay, we're going to have to cut that Epcot trip. We're not going to be able to go sit on those boring rides that teach us about dinosaurs and fuel and the planets and all the other things that we want to go to a theme park for. We're not going to be able to afford that this year. We're not going to be able to go sit on that golf ball that basically goes in a circle and then makes us go back where we started.
Oh my gosh.
We're not going to watch Figment and go on the Imagination ride. We're not going to be able to have that experience.
Well, to be fair to Jeannie, like, I would be more upset that her husband is not helping her pack. That's the part that I'd be like, dude, we're moving in 10 days. Like, chop. Like,
Julia, those bikes are not going to build themselves. Okay.
I guess.
You saw how magical those bikes are down there. They got spokes and they've got wheels and they've got, chains and they've got little baskets in the back of them. These are state of the art.
And I also would be upset that apparently Jack had a really good job that gave them this house. Yep. And now he doesn't have that job. So I mean, I do understand like the stress of all of that. And so she's up to her eyeballs in stress. So I get it. But she's also being a little ridiculous with, the fact that she doesn't really believe in Jack, that he can either A, start this bicycle shop, or B, like even get another job. So
speaking of stress, you know who else is stressed out? The audience, because nothing says a Christmas classic like a movie where people are bitterly discussing how no one is getting anything for Christmas. This movie is the opposite of escapism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, let's face it, it's not like it's the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's the movie.
It's the entire movie, and they talk about multiple characters, talk about how they're poor, just for 90 minutes.
We're going to be living on the street.
Yeah.
We're not going to get anything for Christmas. Our parents hate us. Mom is unhappy with Daddy. And we're going to be, like, eating snow for the rest of our lives outside until we die.
Yeah, that's
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. And they live on a street that never gets plowed. No snow plows to be seen.
Well, that's why I think the husband's an idiot. It's like, you need a snow plow business. There's nowhere to ride these bikes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This idiot, like, yeah, you need a snow plow truck. That's what you need. No one's going to buy your silly little whimsical bikes because there's nowhere to bike. And no one ever plows these streets. I mean, it's a really good point. I mean, this film is shot in Canada. I don't know if the neighborhoods are typically like this around wintertime or all the time. But I mean, these are ugly snow streets.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stacks of snow. They are brown, they are yellow, and they are gross, and you can't see the street at all. It looks unsafe. It looks like someone's just going to skid into somebody's house.
Now, some of you may be thinking, what do you know about snow? You live in Hawaii. We lived in Colorado for many, 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 many years.
18 years for me.
Yeah. And our streets were pretty immaculate. I mean, those snow plows were going all the time.
Well, not always. Remember that time that school bus skidded into that house?
That was
kind of like the plot of this movie.
That was ice. That was ice.
Yeah, black ice. Oh man, I don't miss those days. Like black ice. Like, oh god.
Okay, so the kids they are outside playing like hockey, you know, and then so our angel Gideon, he's just kind of walking around and he's listening to these kids talk about how terrible life is.
He literally looks like, if any of you remember the McGruff, the crime dog commercials, like kids, if you see this guy in your neighborhood, that's exactly who Harry Dean Stanton looks like.
He does. So the kids are talking and he's like, oh, like I don't know. He starts talking to them. And they're like, who are you, mister? They just are like, okay, stranger danger. And he's just standing there like, no, really, talk to me. What's going on? No, they're not doing it. So then the kids playing hockey, he's like, hey, watch out. There's kids over here. And the hockey kids are like, eat it, old man. You know? And so they hit the puck and he magically diverts the puck
into somebody's window.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a weird angel. I mean, just make the puck disappear or catch it, you know, have it be like that moment in Untamed Heart. No, he makes it go through somebody's window. Like, what kind of angel is this?
And then the kids are like, run! Maybe he wanted to get rid of them.
So he could be alone with Mary Steenburgen's kids.
Yeah. So he can, like, get the info on her.
Yeah. This is a Disney film, remember.
Okay, so we do have one moment where Mary Steenburgen is like in the shower singing Stop in the Name of Love.
Can I say that this is the first time I ever heard that song? And to this day, whenever that comes on the radio, I don't think of like Diana Ross. I think of Mary Steenburgen taking a shower.
You do?
Yes.
That's so funny.
It was the first time I ever heard that song.
Oh, wow. I felt like this part was really...
They're like, we need to have some comic relief in this thing. So
we need to show that Genie's not a total
What
Scrooge.
songs do we own the rights to? We got that one. Okay, Mary, you're gonna sing that. Yeah, you're gonna smile in this scene. Yeah,
exactly. And then the phone rings, and it's like, you know what? These are back in the days of landlines, and just let it ring, you know. But no, she gets out of the shower, and a washcloth falls on the drain, and then everyone has to use the bathroom, and in a matter of 3 minutes the bathtub overflows. I mean, This is unrealistic.
I was kind of hoping it would be even bigger, though, every time I see this, because they make a big deal about the bathtub, filling up. Mm-hmm. So I want it to be like Breaking Bad. I want the tub to like fill up so much that it like goes through the floor. I want like even bigger slapstick, because it ultimately comes down to they're on their knees and they're wiping away the water. It's like no.
They're just mopping. Like,
I want some like some like Dean Jones, Fred McMurray Disney hijinks, like some old like Shaggy Dog slapstick.
Like, do you want the house to be completely destroyed 2 days before Christmas?
Might as well. I mean, they're already acting like it is, so why not just take it a step further?
That's so true. All right, so now we finally see like Jeannie at the grocery store, and of course, she's making announcements like, man, she's the Grim Reaper.
Oh man,
I know. She's like, rice is on sale for $1.99. You save 25 cents.
Who loves toasty treats? We all love toasty treats. On aisle 3, you get a toasty treat, 2 for $3. Enjoy your toasties with the mosties.
Yeah. And her boss is just looking at her like, why? Why am I having her do this? Well, he should have been doing it. That's what we figured out. And we also find out Jack, her husband, is really excited to set up the town Christmas tree.
Yes.
And he's one of like 2 people. Dude. He's like, oh man, if we don't get this tree set up, like, the town is just not going to be able to celebrate.
This is the one thing that's going to keep this town from being a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah. After work, Jeannie brings the kids each one gift. Then she shows her husband like, hey, I got them each a gift. This is what I got Cal. This is what I got Abby. And then this is where he's like, yeah, we should just like take $200 and just do a blowout Christmas. And she's like, that's very irresponsible. And the kids are up and they're listening and they're like, oh man, why are parents buying presents if Santa buys everything? Do you think it's because like we're poor? It's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, no, it's because I didn't write to Santa. She didn't write her letter. And so that's why she thinks they're not going to get anything. So she hurries up and she goes and writes her letter to Santa.
The kids are sweet. That helps a lot.
Yeah, the kids are
because
sweet.
There's a movie I used to watch every December. I don't do it anymore. I used to love it because Thora Birch and Leslie Nielsen are in it. It's called All I Want for Christmas. Bad film. Bad call watching that film as often as I did. But one of the things about that film is that the kids in it are really, really irritating, just like, spoiled, obsessed with presents. And in this film, it is like there's a sweetness to the kids, at least. And at times it's completely out of whack with the tone of the film, which is so dour. Mm-hmm. Like there's no joy in this movie. There's no hope in this film. It really is just about people having conversations like, well, we're all going to die one day. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, the husband, he's like, I just want you to have the Christmas spirit for Christmas. It's like, wow. I mean, I'm surprised he doesn't like hand her divorce papers in this film.
It's that kind of a movie. I mean, we have a scene, speaking of like papers and like, process, there's that scene where the new tenants who are going to visit the house come over. Remember that? And they get a tour of the house. That's another scene that it's really, for one thing,
it's depressing.
It's depressing. And also, like, again, this is a Disney film. It's one thing to start off dour. A Christmas Carol starts that way. Scrooge is a terrible person. He's rotten to his employees. Bob Cratchit has a hard life. It's establishing all that. But then it gets more fantastical. The tone changes. The whimsy enters. The fantasy. This thing, even when it gets full fantasy, still a bummer.
Still a bummer. And we see some more fantasy here when Abby runs out of the house to mail her letter to Santa. I have to say, these parents never know when she leaves the house.
Yeah.
She leaves the house so many times, and they're just like, oh, where's Abby?
Can we say in the defense, because this applies to me, could we say it's the 80s? Because I used to get on my bike and like go to the edge
in
of
the
town.
middle of the night? After your parents had put you to bed?
Oh, no.
And you're what, 6?
Yeah, you got me there.
Oh, so Gideon's in his tree next to the mailbox, just singing away some morbid tune.
Well, we find out what that's about very soon, actually.
So Abby runs, puts the letter in the mailbox, and it's like he all of a sudden is standing next to her, and he pulls the letter out with his bright light.
Yes.
And Gideon tells Abby that she needs to give the letter to her mom to mail it to Santa, because that's going to help remind the mom to have the Christmas spirit.
It's amazing what this angel, let alone whoever he's serving, puts this family through, all so that this stupid letter could end up in someone's hand. I mean, like it really does come down to, like, if the letters had just ended up, no one would have gotten hurt, you know?
Right.
But because it's this whole business of like, no, she needs to see the letter. She needs to get the letter needs to go in the mailbox. She needs to put the letter in the mailbox with having the right attitude. You know, it becomes about that, which is so sadistic.
And then Abby runs back across the street, almost gets hit by a car. And of course, Jeannie sees her, but Gideon saves her. It's just
and very nice
magical
of Gideon. You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't make her like go through a window. She just goes through the car.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what does he do? I mean, she either goes through the car or he just makes her materialize from one part of the street to the other.
Yeah, I think that's what he does. I don't know. They don't really show it. It's just like bright flashing lights.
Is it the same kid?
Oh, no. It's her ghost.
Or it's her doppelganger. Is it like the movie Us?
Oh, no. Man, this is just getting darker.
Well, hey, I'm just keeping in spirit with Disney's One Magic Christmas.
All right, so the family goes to visit their great-granddad, and he gives Abby a snow globe. So
This is the part of the movie you remember.
Well, kind of. So then we kind of see Abby and her mom talking, and she's like, if Mrs. Claus had kids, would she be crabby to them?
Oh, man.
Mom, is that Santa's house?
Yes.
Does he have any kids?
Nope. He just has a wife, Mrs. Santa Claus.
Oh, Mom, if Mrs. Santa Claus had kids, would she be crabby to them?
All moms are crabby sometimes, but that doesn't mean they don't love their kids. You go to sleep, all right? Good night.
Wait, Mom. Mom, did you mail my letter to Santa Claus?
No, Abby, I didn't. Not yet.
Oh, gee, Mom, now I won't get anything.
Oh, Abby, stop it. Now, you're going to get plenty of presents.
You know what? Kudos to Jeannie for just being like, you know what? Moms aren't happy all the time, all right? Deal with it.
So she's the Ebenezer Scrooge George Bailey character, the figure.
Yeah.
Who needs to be redeemed. Not really, not really her financial situation changing, not really, even her attitude really changing. Just get into the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
Just be happy. Ho, 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 jolly, jolly, jolly.
Yeah, that's basically what Gideon wants for her.
That's really all he wants.
It's just for her to smile and, because the whole thing is like, you never say Merry Christmas. And she's like, well, people never mean it when they say it.
Isn't that a good thing for a movie to want, for a man to say, like, you just need to smile more, honey.
Yeah.
Smile.
You need to smile and say Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And
you
then
need to be a happy mom.
Then we'll know you have the Christmas spirit.
Happy wife, happy life. What a good message.
I know. So, all right. So Jeannie leaves Abby, and then all of a sudden Gideon shows up in Abby's room.
Oh, man. Oh, this moment.
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah, and you know what he says there? He's like, shh. Yeah. I'm like, no, kid, scream. Your first inclination was correct. Harry Dean Stanton, dressed like the Shadow, is in your bedroom staring at you. Oh my gosh. And we're supposed to think this is magical.
Yeah, we're supposed to think this is magical. See, I think as a kid, I didn't think too much about this scene in particular. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying.
I mean, maybe it's because I've seen too many Harry Dean Stanton movies. Maybe it's because, he looks like death or looks like stranger danger.
Yeah.
I think as a kid, I was okay with it because it's like it's established that he's a magical entity.
Right. As a kid, they tell you he's an angel. So you're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
He doesn't look like an angel, but okay.
Yeah. All right. So they're having a discussion. All right. And This is what he says.
Is this what he tells her his origin? Oh,
no,
man.
no.
Okay.
He says, something in your mom broke. And then Gideon he's holding the snow globe, and then he drops it, and it just like shatters. And then all of a sudden he magically puts it back together, and it's in his hand, and Abby's like, whoa. And then he says, I can fix broken pieces of glass, but only your mom can fix herself. And then he tells Abby, no matter what happens, don't be scared.
Oh, gosh.
That I was like, ooh, what?
Man.
And she's just like, okay, I won't, creepy angel man.
I gotta say, one of the boldest things Disney has done this year is that this movie is currently on its Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of amazed by that. This is one of those films that, like, let's pretend this didn't happen. Like, let's
they've done it with enough movies that I don't know why this movie isn't in the vault forever.
No, seriously. I mean, there are films like Trenchcoat is another one. I mean, the mother of them all, Song of the South. There are a handful of Disney films that they do not acknowledge. They do not want to remind people about. I'm kind of amazed that this is on Disney Plus right now. I know it's a Christmas movie, and maybe it's just the title. Like, oh, I don't even know what that is, but that looks cute.
No. Okay, so Jeannie and Jack have another discussion about how he wants to open his bike shop, and Jeannie just wants him to get a job. And, you know, this is where they're taking a walk together outside. And she's like, what do we have to be joyful about? And he says, you know, nights like this. But doesn't she say something like, God forgot about us?
Yes, she does in a Disney film. By the way, really quickly, Gary Basaraba plays her husband. I like him a lot. He's in Fried Green Tomatoes. I love him in that movie.
Oh.
He's very good in that. Anyway, one of the notes I wrote, do you think maybe the movie would have been just a smidgen better if Gary Basaraba, who's playing the dad, had switched roles with Harry Dean Stanton?
Ooh.
Because he's very warm and sweet. Harry Dean Stanton, who I like a lot, is not.
Yeah.
So maybe if she was married, wouldn't it make more sense that he's like this weird guy who likes to sit in his basement, you know, putting together bicycles?
I know.
And as opposed to, you know, having the handsome, sweet guy playing the angel.
Yes.
Maybe that would work just a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't think it would save this film,
No.
but a little bit better.
Yeah. Because the thing you like about Jack is how sweet he is. And even though
Sorry to interrupt. He's Dylan McDermott in Miracle on 34th Street. He really wants to instill this happiness. And just like in that film, Elizabeth Perkins is the Grinch who doesn't want to acknowledge.
Right, but that's a good movie, and this is not a good movie.
And by the way, yes, listeners, I cited the remake of Miracle on 34th Street, which is also a better film than Disney's One Magic Christmas.
Well, so they're taking a little walk around the block on these unplowed roads. And so Jeannie's talking about how God has forgotten them. And then she starts singing this really weird song.
By Joan Osborne.
What is she singing? About the stars and how that, I don't know, that's all there is in life or something. And Jack's just like, well, you have not cheered me up.
She's like singing like the Carl Sagan theme song.
So Jack kind of continues around the block. She goes to mail the letter that her daughter wrote to Santa. And then Gideon talks to her and says like she needs the Christmas spirit and he hopes that she finds it. And then he disappears and because he says her name to her and like she's never met him before.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, I don't really
That should have been a bigger question. How do you know my name?
Well, she does. She says it, but he's already gone.
Yeah.
And so then he disappears and all of the Christmas lights go out on the street.
Yeah.
And the music, it's like, dong, dong, dong.
It's a little eerie.
It's very eerie.
Yeah.
And it's like a moment in the movie where something happens with like time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, the movie gets back to it. At one point, there's a point where it does do a bit of time travel.
Yeah.
But we're not quite there yet.
No, I know, but like, I feel like this is weird that this is like the method that this movie is using.
Yeah, well, the movie's telling us that this is a moment where things are going one way, and because when it goes back later on when the lights come on, that's the indication of like the redo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so the next day, you know,
Oh, the next day.
the next
man.
day is bad. It's Christmas Eve, we've established.
If this movie hasn't already just kicked you in the tenders yet, just wait. Oh, man.
So Jeannie's like at the gas station, and there's this guy just trying to sell his junk so he can have a
His
Christmas
camp stove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for his kids, for his
He's trying to
son.
sell his car, and then he's trying to sell his camp stove. Yeah.
And his poor son is sitting in the front seat like, we're poor. This is the worst Christmas ever. And nobody will buy the car or the camp stove.
The screenwriter's like, you know what? I was going to talk about, how the kid's unhappy because he's, his teeth is crowning, or, no, we're just going to have him talk about, how he's poor and life sucks. Okay. Let's just, why like try to sugarcoat it?
So, Jeannie kind of sees this go down, and then this guy takes off. And then we get to see him go into the bank.
Yes.
And this guy, I think his name ends up being Harry, I'm pretty sure.
And he robs the bank.
He robs the bank. He just holds
the
it
gun.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we see
And
Jack
everybody's
going,
favorite father walks into the bank.
Oh my gosh. But what happens is Jack double parks his car next to Harry's car.
And let's keep in mind that Harry's son is in the car. And by the way, whatever happens to him, we never know.
No. Yeah, he disappears.
Yes.
But so double parked, and then of course Abby runs out into the road because she wants to go see her mom at the grocery store. Jack's in the bank. Cal is being a good little boy sitting in the car. And so Abby goes to see her mom, and she's like, what are you doing? Where's your dad? She's like, Dad's at the bank. And Jeannie's like, oh, no, he's not. Like the only reason he could be at the bank is to take money out is what she's thinking.
Yeah.
And there's no way she's letting that happen. She's got a vice grip on that
She
$5,000.
will not allow any happiness to enter into your life. No. So it's like, oh no, you are not making me smile. There's not going to be any joy in our life. No.
So she takes Abby, puts her back in the car, and then she goes into the bank just to watch her husband get shot by Harry. And it's like, wait, how did this just happen?
This is a G-rated film, listeners. This is a G-rated movie, and a guy gets shot in a bank.
Yep.
And he dies in his wife's arms, and it gets worse from there.
So she's just like, oh my gosh, Jack. And then somebody, so Harry runs out. He sees that Jeannie's car is double parked, and why not just steal
I'll
the
just
car?
steal this car. Why not?
Yeah. And so then someone comes into the bank, and they're like, the robber just stole Jeannie's car. Okay. So Jeannie's like, what? My kids. So now.
So she leaves her husband to die by himself on the floor of the bank.
Exactly.
Cold and alone.
I hope someone.
He would have wanted it.
Yeah, I'm hoping someone called 911 at this point, because she leaves. She gets into Harry's car, and eventually that car just breaks down, and the cops pick her up, and then they go and see that the car is in the river, and the kids are gone. Harry's gone. So now this poor woman thinks her entire family is dead.
Well, it doesn't think they're dead. They're dead.
Yeah.
So within a space of, I think, 4 minutes, Mary Steenburgen's husband has been shot dead in a bank lobby, and her kids, just like the other great Canadian film, The Sweet Hereafter, have drowned in a river.
Yes. The kids have drowned in the river.
Scenes from Disney's One Magic Christmas.
So then we see poor Jeannie at home, alone.
This suddenly has become an Ingmar Bergman film. And you made an interesting point, and I really thought about this, because you're like, she's really not playing this the way it would be in real. I mean, if you just lost everything in the space of a couple hours. But what I wrote in my notes, I'm like, you know what? If Mary Steenburgen had played this with more realism, it would be unbearable.
That's true.
Because she could do that. Absolutely. But you know what? It's a Disney film.
So they just have her sitting like on the bathtub edge.
She just looks a little more annoyed than already.
Yeah. And then you were like, well, now she has time to take a shower. Won't be bothered.
Now she could sing Diana Ross songs at the top of her voice now. Yeah. No one's going to bother her. Yeah.
One bathroom is not a big deal when you're just one person.
Thanks, Santa. My Christmas dream came true.
Well, it's not too... So the movie doesn't leave us to suffer too long.
But long enough.
Yeah, I know, because Gideon has the kids by the river.
But that's also like, look, look, here's the thing. It's like, what's worse? That the kids are dead or they're back via a painful contrivance? And by the way, are they actually back? I mean, it shows him. It shows Harry Dean Stanton kind of corralling the kids away from the river, from their deathly doom. So it's like, is it their spirits?
No, it's them. He saved them. I don't think they actually went in to the river. Like, I think he did one of his little like magic moments, like as the car was like hitting the water. He let Harry go. He let Harry go to the North Pole, and he took the kids.
It's a lot to ask.
I know.
It's a lot to swallow.
I know. I'm not saying it's a good idea.
This guy is good at putting, little glass balls and baseballs. That's one thing. I mean, these are
hockey pucks. Yeah.
Yeah. These are two children who just drowned, died screaming in the back seat of a crappy car. Why didn't he save Harry, the robber?
He sent him to the North Pole, which we'll get into.
That's right. So much to unpack here.
So Jeannie finds out, like, your kids are alive, and she's obviously so excited, and the kids come home, and they're like, Mommy, an angel saved our lives. And so then we see Jeannie with the kids, like, at night. They're supposed to be getting ready for bed, and she tells them about their dad. She's like, your dad is dead. And they're like, well, can he come back for Christmas? And she's like, you have to understand what's going on. The reality. Your dad's dead. It's like, oh my gosh. And no tears are shed at all in this scene.
None whatsoever.
Mm-mm. So, I don't know. I think you're right that the realism of this would just be unwatchable.
Like, what's worse? I don't know. It's like, I'm honestly, because, I forgot that he corrals them out of the brink. Like, I just remember as a kid, like, I've never seen a movie where two kids drown in the backseat of a car. Like, it's,
yeah, I know,
it's
and
so
we don't
horrifying.
see it.
No, but that's what happens. And, you see little bloop, 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 little bubbles or whatever it is of something in there. And Mary Steenburgen's reacting to something. That's one of the reasons I kept going back to this. Like, wow, this is like forbidden fruit. I shouldn't even be seeing this. Like, this is horrifying when it's on the evening news, but this is on the Disney Channel.
Okay, well, shortly after this, Abby tells Cal, you know what? I think Gideon, like Santa or Gideon, could like save our dad. And so Abby leaves the house again after being put to bed, and he goes to Gideon, and she's like, can you bring my dad back? And he's like, I think I know who we can talk to. Santa Claus.
Is this the moment where he tells her who he really is or where he came from, his origin? Or do we pass that? Because that's a key moment.
They go to the North Pole.
Yeah, but what about when Gideon tells her, his backstory?
Oh, okay. I must have missed that part.
That he used to be a person. He's a dead cowboy. Oh, yeah. That he was riding on the range and got shot in the back, and now he's an angel.
And he died because he was trying to save a kid in a river and he doesn't know how to swim. Ironic.
Yeah.
The screenwriters were like, oh man, this is going to be so good. We're going to make it so he actually saves the kids that he couldn't save in his life.
Yeah, he can only save them after they've died.
No, they didn't die. I don't think they died.
I think they died.
All right, well, since we don't know for sure, you can think whatever you want.
Julia, it went into the brink. They died. He had to use his weird magical powers to bring them back to life. They're dead.
Okay. Well, now they're alive.
It's like Pet Cemetery in Canada.
And Gideon is going to go into Abby's snow globe with her to travel to see Santa Claus now. Okay, it's all making sense.
You know, if you were to tell a therapist these things that you're telling me, she would think you're clinically insane.
I know.
Yeah.
So they go to the North Pole, and then Jeannie is left thinking that her daughter is gone for the second time in the same day.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know how this woman is not, but has not just like committed herself. Like, I have to go into a mental hospital now. But it's in 1985, so it's still a viable option. I can't deal with my life. Husband's dead. Kids were dead. Daughter has now disappeared again. It's too much.
Yeah, it really is.
So Gideon takes Abby to the North Pole, and he's like, you have to go alone to Santa. So like walk down, just like walk up to his house. And
I gotta say, the exterior, the exterior of this house, it does look like Santa Claus the movie. I'm like, oh, okay, that looks really magical. It's like this, it does look like the inside of the snow globe. It looks like, it's on another planet, and it's this little house that's isolated, it's twinkling. Like, okay, that's a really cool visual. But once she gets inside, there's no magic.
No, it's just an old house.
It's an old house. Santa is played by Jan Rubes, who's no longer with us. Jan Rubes, weirdly enough, he's in the next movie Mary Steenburgen did. Right after this, Mary Steenburgen did this thriller I love. It's called Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter, ironically enough. Better title for this movie, by the way.
Oh, totally.
Much better. So in that movie, he's the villain and she's the protagonist. In fact, she has dual roles in that movie. I love that film. It's great. It's so weird that he's Santa Claus in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Abby talks to Santa, and he says that he can't bring her dad back. But you know what? There is someone who can. Guess who it is?
Satan?
Her mom.
Oh, her mom.
Yeah. So now we find out that Santa's workshop, he goes, yeah, everyone thinks that it's elves that work here, but it's really just people that have died, and now, they die and they come work for me in my workshop. So
yeah, it's Jan Rubes, so he's got this lovely accent. I've always liked the sound of his voice. But it's weird that he's playing Santa, and it's especially weird that he's giving this little girl a tour of his very industrial, non-magical workshop. I mean, it's like a place where they like brew beer, like that's what it looks like.
Well, I'm like, all the people in this workshop are really elderly, and I'm like, you know what? Man, this has got to be some kind of crappy purgatory, because these old people finally take their last breath on Earth, and they're like, I'm finally going to go to my eternal rest. They wake up. Now they have to work in Santa's workshop for the rest of eternity.
Sorry, Betty Davis. You're going to be wrapping toys for the rest of eternity.
This is the worst idea ever. And Santa's climbing up on this ladder to get a letter, and he's like, oh, can you push me over a little bit? And one of the old men gets up he's just
he's like, thanks, Babe Ruth.
Yeah. He's just so put out and practically rolling his eyes.
It's like everybody in Santa's workshop looks like the cast of Cocoon.
Yes. Just old, frail, tired,
They already lived very long, accomplished lives, and now they're stuck for the rest of their lives.
No, for the rest of eternity.
The rest of eternity, yeah. Oh, man. It's a weird workshop, because not only is it industrial, but it lacks any plastic crap. There's no Tonka toys, there's no Mattel, there's no Transformers. It's just it's unlike Zevo toys. There's no Tori Amos tunes being cranked up. No, it's just
this place is pretty dour.
It's really depressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably what it's like making toys in any kind of Canadian toy factory. Now I think about it.
Well, Santa finds a letter that Jeannie sent to him when she was a child. And he gives that letter to Abby, and he's like, you give this to your mom. And then Abby and Gideon leave the snow globe and go back to the real world. And
thank God. Get to leave Santa's workshop of the undead.
Yeah. I know, zombie elves.
It's a terrible idea. It's so bad.
So finally,
You don't go to heaven when you die. No, you don't go to hell. You go to Santa's workshop.
Oh my God.
Where you will be an employee for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, it's really terrible. But Abby goes back home and Cal's like, Mom, Abby's back. And so I gotta give Jeannie kudos here. She doesn't yell at her. She just kind of like helps her get back into bed. Like, I think she's just too tired to say anything. And Abby's like, Mom, there's something for you in my jacket from Santa. And so Jeannie sees that it's her letter. And you know what? This is where the Christmas spirit really starts to return. I feel like this plan is working.
Do you now? I'm just wondering which of my dearly departed dead friends are currently at Santa's workshop right now.
Yeah, that would be that. No, gosh, that's sad.
It's like, can I just have the sweet release of death? No. I gotta wrap crap.
No, you have to make etch-a-sketches forever. That's what you get to do.
That's right.
That's it. You get to make, or like a rocking horse, the same rocking horse over and over again.
No,
365 days a year.
Oh, man.
I know. All right. So Jeannie finally decides to mail the letter that Abby wrote to Santa. And she says, Merry Christmas to Gideon. And the lights on the street come back on. And now we see Jack walking back home like he just came around the block.
This is when she sang that creepy song to him. He took a walk around the block, and he feels like it's only just been a moment. But for her,
it's been like a day. I think it's been an entire day.
It's been a day of a shooting and drownings and disappearing kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And so we're back to the 23rd, basically, December 23rd.
Yes, she time traveled.
Yes. She time traveled in that moment. So Jeannie, the next day, she's like, I'm not going to go to work. I'm going to tell my boss, he can fire me if he wants, but I'm spending this day with my family. And of course, she doesn't get fired. So that's good. And then Jeannie goes to that gas station and she buys the camp stove from Harry for $50.
And I had to wonder about it because he's really insistent about this camp stove. And we never see the camp stove. I'm like, is that code for like a pound of cocaine? It's the 80s.
He's like, hint, hint. It's my camp stove that lights up really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 80s. So like, is he just, he's just a friendly neighborhood coke dealer.
Oh my gosh.
His kid's in the back seat. Do you want me to cut this for you, Dad? You just don't want me to smell it, right?
Oh my gosh. So because she does that, Harry doesn't end up robbing the bank. And
robbing someone else.
Yeah, Jeannie
he doesn't really. He has $50 now. I mean, is that really gonna go very far? I don't think so.
Well, back then, $50 was a lot of money.
Back then, I mean, like you got to put gas in your car. You got to have, you got to have dinner. I mean,
he just wants extra money to buy his kid Christmas presents. That's all this is. It doesn't mean he doesn't have money to do like the essentials.
He should have robbed a toy store instead of robbing that bank. Wouldn't that have been like a two birds, one stone kind of thing?
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Plus, I mean, you're hopped up on all that cocaine. It probably would have gone better just robbing the toy store. No one would have gotten shot.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, but it is funny that we don't ever see like Harry's kid.
No
again.
kidding, just disappears from the movie. What happened to that kid?
I don't know.
And and it's like, is it a situation of editing, or was the screenwriter like, oh, nobody cares?
Probably. Because he should have been in the car that Jeannie was driving.
Yeah, where they're like, the body count in this movie is rising too steadily. Let's just get rid of that little actor.
Yeah, unless they're like, oh, we'll just say he like ran out of the car to go after his dad.
Oh, man.
So
just
sad.
Pile on the tragedy.
I know.
Yeah, no, but instead we get the super mega happy ending.
Well, because the family delivers bikes to the poor kids.
Right. That's a nice moment. I will admit I like that moment a lot.
Where the little girl gets the bike.
Yes, that's very nice.
It is.
Especially because an hour earlier she was talking about how poor she is and basically how her life was going to end. So it's that's what
She's not suicidal.
No. I mean, I think she was going to freeze to death or something. It's One Magic Christmas. You know, it's always a possibility in this movie.
Okay, then they go to the tree lighting ceremony for the town.
Yes.
And so, now the whole town has the Christmas spirit.
And Gideon, everyone's favorite Christmas angel, is there.
And then Jeannie writes a $5,000 check to Jack for his bike shop.
Oh, man, that's a bad investment right there.
I was like, really? Like, he really needs all of it?
Like, do not encourage this man's obsession.
I know.
No, it's weird because her problems are still valid. Like, her kids are still obsessed with presents.
They still have to move in 10 days.
They still have to move, and her husband's bike shop is...
He has no job.
It's a dumb idea, and this town needs a snowplow so badly. And this guy's like, no, man, I really want just rubber tires getting stuck in these snow beds.
Mm-hmm. And then Jeannie sees Santa putting gifts under her tree.
Oh, man. The movie does not need this moment.
And so then it's like, oh, so her kids will get the Christmas that they wanted.
But will she?
I don't know. She now, quote unquote, has the Christmas spirit. That's all Gideon wanted for her.
How much of the movie is really Ginny's madness? Her kids have drowned, husband shot. Maybe she's just still sitting up there in her bathroom, just sitting there. And all
this is in her mind?
Imagining all this crap.
Ooh.
Maybe there is no heaven. Maybe they just go to Santa's workshop.
Mm.
Maybe if I had given that crazy old man at the gas station $50, maybe he wouldn't have plugged my husband.
Yeah, maybe she is at the...
No wonder she's smiling in that final scene.
Yeah, maybe she did commit herself.
Snapped. Merry Christmas. One magic Christmas. Look, I don't mind Christmas movies that have a little bite to them, but I want to recommend for those of you listening to this, like, oh, you really didn't like this movie. No, I don't. There's a film I really love. It came out in 1989. It's also a movie it's got a little bit of teeth on it, but it really does become a really beautiful and sweet film. I love it. A movie called Prancer. Did you ever see Prancer?
No.
Sam Elliott. I love that film. And it's Sam Elliott. He's raising this little girl, and the back and forth between Elliott and the little girl are wonderful. I can't remember her name. I think it might be the only thing she ever did, but it's basically how they got to take care of this reindeer, and she believes it's one of Santa's reindeer. I love this movie. And like Elliot, there's some scenes where he's really yelling at the kid. And it's like, oh man, it's completely believable. But as opposed to this movie, like Prancer, it has grown up emotions in it, but like it's very sweet. And when it does eventually lean into the magic, it feels earned. Yeah, so I love that movie. That came out in 1989, Prancer. I'm sure it's an easy film to find this time of year. I prefer it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And I like it. I think it's just a good film. Family movie, I think it depends on how old your kids are because, most of us don't like to watch Christmas movies where parents are yelling at their kids. But it's a nice alternative to the Christmas movies where kids drown in a bed of ice and the husband gets shot in the lobby of a bank.
Mm. I mean, I'd rather watch It's a Wonderful Life. I'd rather watch
One Magic Christmas.
No.
I can't handle it. It's a Wonderful Life is 2 hours. I can't handle it. Matt, this tends to be the thing when people, we thought we respected you as a film critic, but we do not. No, I get it. I know everybody loves It's a Wonderful Life. They grew up with it. I can't stand that film.
And we did do an episode on It's a Wonderful Life.
You really want to hear me pontificate about Frank Capra's most overrated film.
Oh.
He made wonderful movies. Frank Capra was a wonderful filmmaker. That film is tripe. I can't handle that film.
Oh, man.
It's long. And it does not earn that ending. It doesn't. George Bailey should have just jumped.
Oh, my God.
I can't stand that movie.
Okay, well, I would prefer that over this. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
By the way, my favorite Scrooge movie, for those of you who didn't ask, George C. Scott in A Christmas Carol, the 1984 TV movie, which is thankfully out there and easy to find. I love that film. Have you ever seen that one? Because that's like, it leans into the ghost story aspect of it. It's a gothic horror film that happens to have that wonderful ending that it earns. It earns the ending because Dickens wrote a ghost story that just happens to have this beautiful ending of redemption and understanding how valuable it is. Yeah, and the fact that Scrooge loves Tiny Tim at the end of the story is always the thing that really moves me. And that film, it's George C. Scott for me is the definitive Scrooge. I love him in that.
Well, It's a Wonderful Life is all the way back, episode 11. So
there's no time to scroll that far down. So just don't even do it, listeners. Don't do it.
Don't worry about it.
If you needed more things to disagree with me on, that's a great place to start.
Okay, well, how would you change this film?
First of all, I would say I would stop whoever the Disney executive was who just bought this movie sight unseen, and I'd say, this is more of an Orion Pictures movie. This is not the fact that they stamp it's like Disney's One Magic Christmas, and it's got that cutesy poster. No, this is grim. It's tonally out of whack. It's got great performances. It's got interesting things. It's very bold. I think this is a top to bottom rewrite. It needs to go through a few more drafts. Weirdly enough, the guy who wrote this, he's a Mel Brooks collaborator. After this, he co-wrote Spaceballs.
Oh, wow.
I kind of wonder if he wrote this and he thought, let's see if they let me get away with this.
Yeah. I don't even know if this movie is salvageable, honestly.
Yeah, for me, and honestly, like, and I've, me, like, I've been writing in journals that I keep. I've, lots of journals of old reviews that I've written, and I've saved, blah, blah, blah. But this movie has always been a 2-star film for me.
Wow, that feels way high.
Yeah. All that to say, like, watching it with you the other night, like, because I haven't seen it. It's been such a long time since I've seen this, but yeah. Anyway, for me, it's an easy 1 star. I don't like this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say 1 star too. Well, I don't think anything we could say would make it any better. Maybe switching the 2 main actors, like you said, but otherwise, there's so many wrong turns.
How about more shower dance scenes? How about every time a tragedy happens in Mary Steenburgen's life, they just cut to her happily dancing to Diana Ross again?
It's like all she has.
How surreal would that be? Like, you see like the car like submerging and then stop in the name of love. And then like a knock on the door, we found your daughter. She's been wandering the streets. Stop in the name of love. Here at the North Pole, everyone's dead. Stop in the name. Just keep it going.
Oh my gosh. That would prove to me that she's somewhere locked up in a loony bin. Honestly.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Can you think offhand of a Christmas movie you like even less than this one?
Less than this?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. No, not offhand.
Yeah.
This is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, it's but like I was telling you before we started recording, I mean, it's fascinating to me. This is 85. This is the year Disney put out this and The Black Cauldron. Black Cauldron was the movie that nearly bankrupted the company. If it weren't for the park admissions, they would have gone bankrupt this year. That's a well-known fact. If it wasn't for Michael Eisner, I'm a fan of Eisner, and I'm a fan of Jeffrey Katzenberg, who got in there, who got the animation division and got the movies. The movies started to work again. But this was the year they came very close to going under, and it's because of films like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good. And by the way, Return to Oz, same year. And I love that movie, but it's also one of these things like, what were they thinking? I think that was a bold choice that works. This is not.
They were trying to be real edgy for a while.
I guess. And man, this is also around the time that they showed Tim Burton the door because he did Frankenweenie, and they eventually went back to him and then funded his stop motion Frankenweenie amongst other things. But yeah, they didn't really know what they were doing in the 80s.
Yeah, that's okay.
And it made for some happy accidents.
Everybody
but also
was on too much coke. Really, that's probably why. You laugh, but I bet most people were at work high.
You think they were going around going like, so you got a camp stove? $50 camp stove? Ooh, you're making my nose twitch, Santa style. By the way, that One Magic Christmas, man, we're going to go to the top with that one. It's going to be our biggest hit ever.
Everyone's just walking around just like sniffing, like, yeah, trying to come up with ideas.
Oh, man, we really ate it with that Black Cauldron. But, man, that One Magic Christmas just going to take us back on top, baby.
Yeah.
Back on top. We'll be number one again. Uncle Walt will be so proud.
I mean, you laugh, but I bet those meetings were bonkers.
That's what, everybody says, like, in the 80s, like, everybody was on coke. I don't know if that's, I just don't know.
Okay, yes. I had a friend that I worked with at a very conservative nonprofit, and even she tried to coke one time in the 80s. Yes.
Wow.
And you would have never guessed it if you met, well, you have met her, but I'm not going to say who she is.
Man. Now I'm really curious. That could be 5 different people I know.
5 different people.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like...
Is she still with us, or does she now work at Santa's workshop?
No, she's still with us.
That's how I'm going to put it for the rest of my life. It's like
I'm really sorry, but your grandma has passed on to Santa's workshop.
It's like, Wilford Brimley, is he still alive, or does he work for Santa now?
Like, babe, really sorry to break this to you, but your favorite director is with Santa now. You want me to say that?
It's kind of a comfort, but then I'll think of this movie and be like, oh, that's so sad.
I know.
It's
it
so
just
tragic.
makes us think about this terrible film.
This terrible film.
All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts? I think we've covered it.
Yeah. No. It's for nostalgia's sake. It's interesting to go back to, but I mean, I just remember how much this movie really stunned me as a kid, and now looking at as an adult, I'm even more stunned that this movie exists. I love the size of the jingle bells that Disney has to put this on Disney Plus in December. You idiots! Thank you. What a crazy freak accident that this movie is on their Disney Plus channel, thinking that we need some holiday fodder, but. Yeah, no, this movie deserves to be.
Let's make it go number 1, everyone.
That's right. Yes, inundate Disney Plus with thank you for One Magic Christmas. The ironically titled One Magic Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 star for me. 1 star for you?
Yep, 1 star for me.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No more than that. I just give it that for the unintentional funny things that we saw and just like, wow.
Yeah.
Can't believe what we're watching.
Wonderful actors in this movie. I love these actors. They've been great elsewhere.
Yep. All right. Well, that concludes our discussion of One Magic Christmas.